Alright, here I am at Richardson Library, and I'm picking this spot because this is the first place that I noticed this whole issue of um, what may be or maybe some sort of a counterterrorism, or at least at the local level, some sort of a system to repel people. And I believe it's unconstitutional because it's a form of torture. But this is the first place I've noticed it, and so, at any rate, welcome to my world. And what I'd like to do briefly is just talk about a guy named Scrivener who writes over at nowpublic.com. He's done a pretty good job of trying to tie this stuff together. His style of writing has gotten more paranoid as time. Well, I guess anybody would, putting up with what he's dealing with, and I've experienced a lot of it also. So, anyway, he wrote an article. Let's see if you guys can see this. He wrote an article back on October 6, 2008, about the extrajudicial punishment network. And some people would call it the torture matrix. The name of the article is called Gestapo USA. You can find it at www.nowpublic.com. It's called Gestapo USA. Government-funded vigilante network terrorizes America. And basically he says that a new government form of domestic terrorism is operating in the United States, and it's undermined the rule of law. He talks about how there is something called gang stalking and community stalking, but the deal here is that this one is more government-directed, government-funded, although it may use privatized actors, privatized people actually carrying out the contracts. But he says that, I'll just read it. He said, victims of so-called organized gang stalking or community stalking charge that the rule of law has broken down nationwide at the hands of state-supported vigilantes that operate under the cover of citizen community policing and neighborhood watch corps and business-related anti-terrorism programs, which are also supplemented by municipal workers and members of private and fraternal organizations. Now, who he means by fraternal organizations, I don't know. I mean, the first one that pops in my head is Masons, but I don't know who he's talking about. He goes on to say that a nationwide network comprised of these citizen groups, funded and apparently overseen by elements of government at multiple levels, is the mechanism of extrajudicial punishment and targeting that victims say is dispensing officially tolerated vigilante justice, and it's a bypass of the judicial system and the rule of law. If he's correct, then what he's saying about this system undermining the rule of law is also correct, and it appears to me that it is, because just my own experience confirms so much of what he says. He says it appears to be a nationwide network that attracts extremists as well as law and order types and people connected to public safety, such as firefighters, utility workers, police auxiliaries, retired police and military officers, and even their family members, including children and teenagers, says one victim who has been gang stalked for several years. The guy says, or whoever's made that comment says, that they doubt that it could exist without some people in positions of power looking the other way. Well, he goes on to say that he feels like it's being directed by the fusion centers that have been set up across America, and other people have also, it's such a new thing, and it's so, secretive that obviously it's not well documented, but it's starting to come out. And former Governor Jesse Ventura has dug into this, and he's confirmed some of the things about the fusion centers that are being set up and how they're bypassing the rule of law. The thing Scrivener does is he talks about how the directed energy weapons, tie into that, and how it started off with the military and how they were used in the war in Iraq, and then they were placed into the hands of police, and the police are, putting them into their vigilante groups, to empower those groups against other groups or individuals that they don't like. And a lot of this is being funded through Homeland Security, through the fusion centers. And apparently the fusion centers, some of them, there's not a lot of oversight. They pretty much, operate, each one operates independent from what Governor Ventura was saying on one of his programs recently. So let's see, we'll leave it at that for right now. I think it's good food for thought, and I would encourage you to check out www.nowpublic.com. Look up a guy named Scrivener, Scrivener.